he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines, and somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things, and I said, no, that's a dead end, that would be a bad thing, don't do that, and then that vaccines were causing bad things, and I said, no, that's a dead end, that would be a bad thing, don't do that.
Ancestry.com is selling a new DNA testing service called Ancestry DNA. For $100, you send in a sample of your saliva, and the company sends it back to you with information about your genetic makeup. But now the company is under fire after recent revelations that its terms and conditions included a clause for the right to grant Ancestry a perpetual license to keep and use your DNA. However, in a blog post titled "Setting the Record Straight, Ancestry and Your DNA," it states that the company does not claim ownership of one's data, and the owner has the right to terminate their profile at any time. But Joel Winston, a privacy law attorney here in New York, was one of the first to review the documents, and he says that the company is simply playing word games, and that customers should know that by turning in their data means that they are giving up their genetic privacy.
They don't have absolute ownership to your DNA because it's in your body, so they haven't reached out and taken it away from you. You still own you. But they own a license to take your data, to hold your data, and to sell that data. Whether it's worthless or valuable, nobody really knows, but they are selling it, and they have the right to continue to sell it. They do also have an arbitration clause, which they seem to not want to talk about in their release. The fact that if they did do something wrong or did do something illegal that they weren't allowed to do, you have no legal recourse against them. There's nothing that you can do to bring them to court because you've agreed to this particular venue of arbitration.
Yeah, just a statement of apology by Governor Gray Davis in 2003, saying it was a sad and regrettable chapter in the state's history, and it is one that must never be repeated again. You know, Anderson, we have spent the past few weeks calling and emailing politicians in California, and the silence has been astonishing. And I actually went out there and I flew out to Sacramento to try to get these politicians to talk to me, and the results were really quite interesting, and I'm putting that report together now for tomorrow night.
There have been 4 separate studies by the federal government, by the United States Congress, a 3-year study, a 1-year study by the United States Senate, a study in 2008 by the Inspector General of HHS, and a study last year by the Office of Research Integrity, and all of those studies have said the same thing. They've said that the vaccine division at CDC is a cesspool of corruption. The reason for that is because of financial conflicts of interest between people who work at the vaccine division and the vaccine industry. In 1986, Congress, having accepted millions of dollars of vaccine industry money, of pharma industry money, mercury was 1,000 times more neurotoxic than lead. And you know what lead does to a child's brain. But it still remains in the flu vaccines that is being given to your children and to pregnant women. And the amounts of mercury in those vaccines are hundreds of times, in some cases thousands of times, what a little child's brain can take. You know, in the multi-dose vials of vaccine, he is obligated to evacuate the building, bring in a hazmat crew with moon suits and respirators, and clean up that bottle. So why it's illegal to dispose of it into a sewer system? You give that same substance to an infant child or a pregnant woman. With African Americans, the vaccines that have the mercury in them tend to end up in your communities.